I'm Jonathan Little, and I'm at the Messe Pro Light and Sound 2014 show, and I'm here today to show off the new product, the Pepper. Now, the Pepper is meant to be a central hub for a guitar player, recording engineer, guy. It does a lot, and I'll just jump right into it. First of all, we have our instrument input and instrument output. The instrument in has, like everything, has a load on it, but you can take the load off. So if you have like a piezo pickup or some passive pickups like to see almost no load, you can take the load off if you need be. But it also, if you have the load on, you can adjust it on the rear to anything from 1 meg to 100K. With the load off, it goes up to 12 meg. So it's quite, means like no load. First thing in the chain, there's a buffer insert for pedals. So you would set your pedal board and put that in the pedal insert, which is right here, which is on a TS jack to and from your pedal board. It's a hard bypass, and it's buffered. It does come out at a slightly higher impedance. I didn't want to make it totally low because some pedals hate if they see too low an impedance. But it comes back in buffered, and it's a hard bypass. So when you don't have this button in, it's completely out of the path. So is that if there's any issues with any one of your pedals, you can immediately take it out of the path. Now, you can control that switch by pushing the button, or you can use an external foot switch that controls the bypass relay internally. And that's whoa, what's that? Bam. That threw me off. But that's it, where you plug in the external foot switch. An external foot switch can be any cheap TRS switch made by Hosa or anybody. It doesn't matter. It's just, basically, it's just connecting the things together. The next feature we have on here is a Pro insert. So right after the pedal insert, we have a very high quality differential amplifier that has up to 24 dB of gain with a level send on it for sending out to either Pro DAW, a tape machine, or if you have a rack of Pro gear that you want to use as a pedal, you can do that. And you also have a Pro return level, you also have a return cut and a return polarity. At the same time, you have a dry signal path that runs in parallel with the pedal insert and the Pro insert. Oh, and by the way, the Pro insert, just like the pedal insert, has a hard bypass on it, and it also is controllable by that foot switch. So when you don't want that gear in the circuit, it's completely out of the circuit. So as I was saying, yeah, you have a parallel processing path that combines the effects, basically send return section, which is the pedal and the Pro insert, with the dry signal. And one of the nifty things about this is you turn this to hit your guitar amp at the level that you want to hit it with. Then you can turn the return from the Pro return up, flip the polarity, and turn it up till it nulls because of the polarity reversal, makes it so you can't hear it. And when you find that null point, you know when you play the track back, it will be dead on the same level as we played into the amp. And that's very handy in reamping, because when you reamp things, the biggest problem people usually have is getting the levels right. Because if your levels are right, it sounds like you're plugged right in the amp. If your levels are wrong, it doesn't sound right. So, but also one of the clever things you can do with this too is, for instance, if you want to have effects on your guitar, or especially on bass, having the dry track you can turn up, combining it with that effects track makes it so you can have a little more, you can hear the attack more of the instrument, increase the intelligibility. And I find especially on bass that's really handy. On the output of the unit, there's an XLR, and that's on the very ass end of the device, is a mic level transformer output DI that's mu metal shielded, so it's impervious to hum fields. You also have a transformer on the instrument out, both of which have a earth lift on them. So when you connect all this stuff together, meaning your guitar amp, your Pro gear, your pedals, and your instrument, you don't have any grounding issue have grounding hum issues because you can isolate everything as needed. The devices used in it for the balanced output especially are really top-notch, state-of-the-art devices. The transformers are a vintage transformer that we've used in a lot of our products, including the PCP and the Red-Eye 3D. And another feature we have on here is the expansion output. And the expansion output allows you to plug into the expansion in on the PCP or the expansion in on the Red-Eye, and you can set that up a couple miles away and have it so you can run super long guitar runs, have transformer isolation, and it'll sound like the amp is right next to you. So it adds a lot of flexibility when you're using other Little Labs devices because everything works in a somewhat symbiotic way. I'm trying to think what other little features we got in here I haven't really talked about. I guess that's it, but basically it really combines state-of-the-art analog electronics with vintage transformers to get the best of both worlds. Sounds great, and that's it. That thing is so big. I was wondering what that's about. Oh, I guess another thing, it uses a bipolar 16-volt power supply. It's not something that runs off a Phantom because it's really the quality of the circuitry is very high. It needs the higher voltage and the better current specs. But that's pretty much it. Hope you enjoyed hearing about the Little Labs Pepper at Music Messe 2014 Pro Light and Sound.
Oh, did we cover price and shipping when it's going to be around?
Oh, price and shipping. It's going to be shipping in April, which is a few weeks away, and it's going to go for a list price of $660 US. There's a couple things I like pointing out. With the Pro insert and pedal insert, one thing that's kind of handy when I tell guitar players, there might be one pedal that they use all the time, like Jeff Beck uses a Big Muff all the time. But you might want to have all these other pedals you want to experiment with, but you don't want to have all these connections and stuff in the signal path all the time. And especially if something, when you're playing live, if something in this big pedal goes wrong, it's nice to be able to hard bypass that, still have your regular pedal you use all the time, but you can get all that other junk completely out of the signal path if need be. So just having that simple hard bypass in there is really a handy thing to have. Also, for what's very cool is having the DI output on here. So this is just as useful in the live world as it is in the recording world, because every live sound guide likes a mic level transformer isolated output from something. They hate line level devices. So you can have, so you're going out to your guitar amp, transformer isolated, you're going out with the DI out to your front of house isolated, but you also have your expansion out, which can go to the PCP, which means you have 3 more transformer isolated outputs to going out to multiple amps. If you want to go to a high watt and a Marshall, you have the option of being able to flip the polarity between them so everything's in phase. It just adds a lot of options.
So do you want to go through what the PCP does as well, quickly?
Yeah, sure. I had mentioned the PCP a little bit, but that's because it really does work well with the Pepper, and the PCP has been out for a long time. Metallica uses them, Neil Young uses them on this new Black Sabbath record. They were used for all the guitar tracking, and the PCP is basically a guitar splitter, but it also has 3 plus 4 line level inputs into it. So you can come out of the Pepper into the expansion in on this, and that's controlled by here, so you can have what's plugged in your guitar there or your expansion out. Might seem kind of weird, but when you take those buttons out, that selects the expansion out. And here you can go out to, multiple amps for output A, B, C. You can mix your dry track with with stuff coming back off of tape. It's just a kind of a matrix for going out to multiple devices and just adding extra flexibility to the Pepper.